Hey everybody, Jason Blaha with Ice Cream Fitness here. I've got a huge influx of new subscribers thanks to the Hodge twins. I appreciate it, Kevin and Keith. And I'm getting a lot of new questions and a lot of old points are being brought back up in some of the comments, and I want to hit up on one of those really quickly. But hold on, let me give you guys a bicep shot first. Okay, on to the subject of answering this question. Someone brought up yesterday, they asked me my thoughts on carb backloading. I really love to do videos and talk about this type of topic because it's such a complicated and convoluted topic that confuses a lot of people because it's been so misconstrued and so heavily debated in the fitness and bodybuilding community, and oftentimes those involved in the creation of various protocols don't have a really deep understanding of nutritional science or human physiology or human biology. And so we see a wide variety of meal protocols out there. And you see everything from you need 6 meals a day, 10 meals a day, 4 meals a day. Only eat your carbs early in the day, don't eat them at night. Or don't eat your carbs in the morning, only eat them at night. And different experts espouse these different things, and it goes back and forth, and the industry swings back and forth on these topics over the years as to what is optimal. And all of these protocols tend to get huge followings, and the reason they get these huge followings is because they all work. Every single one of them works for a large number of people, but they don't work for the reasons that people think they do. I'm just going to cut through the bullshit and just be straight honest with you guys, because a lot of you guys are my new listeners. If you're using a dietary approach in an attempt to manipulate how your body stores body fat or uses body fat based upon the timing of your food and when you eat it, and it having a direct effect on this, or a direct impact on manipulating hormone levels and hormone fluctuations in your body, whether it's growth hormone, whether it's insulin, any of that, but you're still staying within the normal range, meaning that you are not injecting copious amounts of any of these drugs into your body, you're manipulating them with food timing, completely wasting your time. It's been shown in study after study in athletes that when we look at this, that we cannot influence these hormones for a net effect over a 24-hour period enough through dietary timing to actually make a measurable change in body composition. We cannot do it. You will not outsmart the body's ability to reach equilibrium and rebalance itself the way that it will raise a hormone and then lower that hormone later to compensate for the huge burst. You'll find is that you cannot influence muscle growth or fat loss or fat gain through this mechanism enough of a difference for it to even add up over the course of a year. You just cannot do it. So looking at it from that perspective, it is a waste of time. However, these protocols work for a lot of people. And the reason that they work for people is because, since we know you can't directly influence these things through meal timing, you can indirectly influence them. And this is where, when we say things like everybody is different, but a lot of us will point out that people are not as different in many regards as we think they are. When it comes to meal timing, that is an exception to the rule. Everybody is different. And everybody is different enough that what works for you now may not continue to work for you in 2 years in regards to meal timing. You might find something else as your body changes the way it processes things a little bit, or the way it reacts due to your training and your level of development. You may find that what worked for you in the past no longer works. And what you need to work around when you're trying to determine what sort of meal protocol you want to run, or how you're timing things when you're experimenting with them, here's what you're looking for. You're not looking for a direct muscle building or fat burning or fat impeding effect, because you cannot, absolutely cannot do that with meal timing. Or at least we haven't found that you can in the research in the nutritional science. So if you can do it, it's going to be a very, very small amount, and it may not be worth your efforts to try to do that. But what you do want to look for is going to be diet programs that help you maintain your energy level. Programs that give you the best training energy when you're in the gym, so that you can produce the most overload to get the best results out of your workouts. meal timing protocols that work around your lifestyle, your sleep pattern, your job. Meaning if a meal protocol interferes with your ability to do your job or gets you in trouble at work because you have weird timing requirements, it's not worth the hassle. Don't do it. It's not fitting into your lifestyle. You also need to look at the way the diet affects your satiation, your appetite, your sense of satisfaction. And I'll give you an example. For me, I use intermittent fasting, and I find that for me, when I train on an empty stomach in the mornings, that I produce really good numbers. My blood sugar stays fairly stable, and I have a nice reservoir of carbs that I've eaten the day before stored in my muscle glycogen, that I get good workouts without ever risking vomiting, without risking problems with my stomach feeling overly full when I'm doing heavy squats or something like that. And I have a good sense of mental focus. I'm also a very, very big overeater. And I like to eat big meals. And by doing an intermittent fasting program, I'm able to eat big meals because I'm not eating many meals a day, and they're all fairly close together. And so I get a period of time in the day where I'm not focused on my food or thinking about food because I'm not used to eating at that time. And then in the evening, I tend to feel very, very full. And I go to bed with a full stomach. And so for me, that works really, really well. And it's not necessarily going to work for the next guy. And what it does for me, it allows me to have a lot of control over my intake. I'm less likely to binge. I'm less likely to overeat or eat a different caloric intake than what I need to reach my goals. So it's a very effective tool for me personally, and it may not be for the next person. And the next person might do better on 5 or 6 smaller meals a day spread out throughout the day in terms of their energy, their appetite. And you have to find what works for you on that. Now, the whole idea with the carb backloading, some of the science behind the idea is complete nonsense. The idea that your body stores carbs at different rates at different times of the day is complete bullshit. In fact, in normal, active, trained individuals, if you're not in a fairly large caloric surplus, I can tell you for a fact that de novo lipogenesis, meaning the conversion of dietary carbs or blood glucose directly into fat cells, almost doesn't happen. If you're not in a large caloric surplus, this doesn't happen. Now, it may impede your ability to burn dietary fat because you're burning carbs for fuel, and therefore your dietary fat gets stored. But the carbs themselves, very rarely in active individuals, very, very rarely actually get converted into body fat. It's just not that common. The pathways exist, but it's rare. So this idea that carbs are even fattening or even more fattening at any time of the day is complete bullshit. It's made up or based upon bad research. However, the carb backloading thing itself, I have a friend who's aware of all of this. His name is Eric Cohenreich, and he's a pretty serious competitive powerlifter. He does carb backloading, and he knows all of these things, and he knows the timing doesn't matter. But what he has said is that he gets really good performance out of doing it in the gym for his workouts, and it fits in his lifestyle and habit really, really well. Therefore, he has incorporated the method, and he uses it successfully, and he's using a meal timing protocol in a way that's going to allow him to be successful because it works for his lifestyle and his pattern. And the merit that I could see of a protocol like this, where I think it would really pay off, is going to be for people who train in the mornings and people who train intermittently, meaning you don't work out 2 or 3 days in a row very often, meaning you tend to have gaps between. Someone who trains like I do, someone who's training 3 or 4 days a week, who has a lot of days off between their actual sessions, and who has achieved a high enough level of conditioning that their body tends to just store excess dietary carbs eaten in a time period in their muscle tissue as glycogen. A person like that is going to potentially, and I'm not saying they will, they could potentially glean some extra performance in the gym out of a protocol like this because they're loading carbs in a slightly depleted state the night before a training session, and they might get what we call a glycogen supercompensation effect, which means their muscle tissues are going to get really greedy with the glucose. They're going to suck it all up. They're going to hog it. And they're going to be stored in their muscle tissue, and their muscle tissue is going to have more glycogen than normal in it the next morning when they go hit their training session. And for some individuals, this may yield a small benefit in performance. And if your performance in the gym is better, you're going to gain muscle faster, you're going to gain strength faster. If you're dieting or cutting, you're going to have better workouts still because of more training fuel. And as a result of that, you're going to hold on to more muscle tissue on a cut and lose more fat because you're holding more muscle. So in terms of it having an indirect potential benefit, yes, I can see some individuals, due to these factors, it actually being a very successful timing protocol for them. But the idea that it has a direct impact on the body composition, absolutely not. The science is flawed there. But it having an indirect impact and it being successful for those people, yeah, I can see how it could work and why some individuals could make progress on it. All right, guys, I hope this has been informative. That's really all I have to say on that topic today, and I will talk to you next time.